Hey, what's up everybody? It's Rox and I am coming to you today with a special video that I have been saying that I wanted to do in commemoration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I've been telling you guys and I've been warning you guys and letting you guys know that I was going to do this video, so I am going to get through it today and you guys are going to hold my hand and get through it with me. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the month of October. This is also the month that my mother died. As a matter of fact, my mother did die today, October 11th, at about 5:03 in the morning. I was sitting there right next to her, holding her hand, and just could not believe that it was happening. But I'm going to tell you guys more about my mom later. What I really wanted to talk to you guys about first is my girlfriend, Evelyn Gresham Hunter, who is not only my girlfriend, a really good friend, almost like a mother to me, even though she's not that much older than me. I truly believe that God sent me here to Atlanta to be with her, especially with me immediately getting here and then my mom getting sick. Evelyn is also a breast cancer survivor. She's a nonprofit organization founder for Surviving Inc. And she wrote a book. The name of the book is It's Not About the Ribbon, It's About the Woman. This is it here. Really cute. With the ribbon of the lady's face in it. It's just really, if you guys really have to know Evelyn to know that this is totally her. It's a very short book, almost like self-help, almost like informational, and also explains her journey in becoming so knowledgeable about breast cancer. She was also once diagnosed with breast cancer, caught it early, and was able to beat it and is now completely cured. The book is really good, and that's actually her on the back there. That's a picture of her there on the back. That's my Evelyn. You guys, I really just wish you could just talk to her, but when you read the book, you honestly feel like you are talking to her now. It's a self-published book. It's only like 45, 46 pages, and it is truly in the third person where she is just really talking to you sister to sister. Now, I realize that there are men also who experience breast cancer, either firsthand or from family. So this is a book that everybody could read. It just gives you all the information on breast cancer, from different stages to different treatments to what does and does not work to what she does and doesn't feel is necessary to, like I said, her own experience. So it was a really good book. Certain parts, pretty much this whole book, I had already had conversations with her over the years. I've known her since I've been here in Atlanta, because we used to work together. But these are all conversations that we used to have, especially when my mom was diagnosed. And I just felt like I was a fish out of water. Like I just did not know what to think, how this thing was going to happen. And she really did clarify a lot of things for me. Yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that the book is a really easy, fast read. It's not, it's not doctor qualified, or it's nobody that's officially giving you what you should and shouldn't do. It's nothing like that. This is just her own personal experience and, research that she's done on her own. She's very much homeopathic, and she is also one to really know what she's getting into before she gets into it. So that's why I thought that this was a really good time, since it was Breast Cancer Awareness, since she does have her nonprofit organization, Surviving Inc., which just provides support to women who are suffering from breast cancer, people who are suffering from the after effects of chemotherapy, women who have lost, considerable amount of money, trying to keep up with the medical bills. We're not all blessed to have insurance, even though we do have this Obamacare right now, and we're hoping that things will change in the future for everybody. But in the meantime, there's thousands of women who suffer every day because of breast cancer, not just because of the physicality of the illness, but it's all these other side effects. People lose their jobs because they can't get to work, and then they, loss of income means that they can't keep up with their bills, they can't keep up with their, food, and, just things that you actually need to get through this. Evelyn's foundation is one to provide services. She will pay a utility bill. She'll get a Kroger card for you. That's a grocery store here in Atlanta, but she'll get a grocery card for you. She goes and sits with people who are, who are afraid, people who might be dying, whatever it is that she can do to lend some sort of helping hand to those with breast cancer. That is what Evelyn does. And you guys would really have to, I'm just getting so emotional already, and I haven't even got to the meat of this, but I will say that Evelyn is a blessing, really a good person, very down to earth, very loud, very not always politically correct, but grounded in God and her faith, and really quite supportive. So I'm not even going to start trying to cry already at the beginning of the video. Anyway, you guys, I will have the link for her book, Creative Space. I believe she did self-publish, like I told you guys, and she went through Amazon. Amazon has a website called Creative Space, I believe. Whatever it is, I'll have the link down below that you guys, if you guys are interested in purchasing her book. There were some problems with the link. I don't know if they've gotten it corrected yet, but at some point the book will be up and you guys could get it. It's just really a fast, easy read for those who are just might need some of the terms of breast cancer and what your doctors will tell you broken down to like the easiest sense where you could really get a general understanding of what you may or may not be going through. Okay, so yeah, Evelyn, girl, I love you. Thanks so much for the book. And you guys, y'all make sure that you pick it up. I will tell you guys my own little personal experience with breast cancer. Me, not my mom's story. You know, when you get to be 40 years old, everybody is all over you that you have to get a mammogram. Because of my past experience with my mom and everything, you guys know that I was very gun shy of going to get a mammogram. I knew that I needed to do it. And when I went to my doctor and had my regular checkup, she was just like, when are you going to get this mammogram, Roxanne? And, I scheduled it, and then I would reschedule it. And but, it was just something I knew I needed to do. So, of course, I did go to the mammogram at Kaiser out here in Atlanta. And it was an interesting experience. I will tell you that you feel very super vulnerable, first of all, because they have you take all your clothes off. Well, you don't get completely undressed, but you're completely topless. Something about just being topless, even though I kind of consider myself an exhibitionist, something about just being topless is just weird. I would rather be completely naked and just have like a robe on or something, but just to be topless, it was kind of strange. So anyway, when you go into the room and there's this great big massive x-ray machine or whatever the machine is that got the plates on it, you guys, I will tell you that I was really expecting something different. I really thought the mammogram was, because everybody always complained that the mammogram is painful. And I don't have really big breasts. I mean, I'm a 34B, the 34C, during that time of the month. And that might be a little bit too much information for y'all. Not really big breasts. I didn't really know how this was going to go. Because I was like, now how you going to smash my little teeny little tiny little things up in between these two plates? But they were able to do it. I mean, she kept on saying, get closer and hold your arm back and make sure you don't move. And they would press the thing in there, and I'm telling you, they would have this little titty as flat as a pancake. I was so amazed to see how flat they got this thing. I mean, and they got the whole thing in there. And to tell you the truth, I was actually like, it's kind of nice. I've always, okay, not to be trying to tell all my business, but I ain't really too much for the soft touch. I don't really like no feathery light kind of, don't be touching and rubbing and, light and nice and shit. Okay, you gonna get in there, get in there. It was my first one, of course, and, the lady was just like, okay, well, we'll have your results. If anything happened, they're gonna call you immediately, and if everything is fine, then, they won't. I feel my boobs all the time and under my arms. I do try to do, I do try to stay pretty aware of my body and everything. I just figured it wasn't nothing wrong with me. So I left and went on about my business. But how about the next day they called me? It was like, Miss, I almost told y'all my last name. They was just like, Miss Roxanne, you need to come on back down here. We think we might see something. Well, I can tell you guys that is nothing that you want to hear ever. You especially don't want to hear it when you've had a loved one die from breast cancer. It is probably something, and you know how your mind goes. You just immediately feel like something is completely wrong with you, that you are going to die. You start thinking about your mortality, your family, your kids, your life, what you should and shouldn't do. I mean, let me tell you, my whole life kind of flashed in front of my eyes in that conversation. Of course, here we go with the crying, the snot, the I can't believe it, really just worrying that I had breast cancer. So I did go back. They scheduled it a week later. I'm thinking, like, how am I going to make it a week before I know what's wrong with me? I think I even called my friend Evelyn, and she was just like, Rox, don't worry about it. Just go on down there and, just get a second, let them look at it again and find out what the deal is. So that's what I did. And to make a long story short, it was nothing. Actually, what they thought they saw on my first mammogram, they didn't even see it at all on the second one. And what it turned out is they said that, they basically just felt that they wanted to have a baseline of me. They didn't really know what my breast tissue was like to begin with. So now that they know, they know what to expect with my breast when I go back for my next mammogram, now they'll have an idea. And but whatever it was that they thought they saw, they didn't see. So that was a relief. I've had friends that have had scares. I've had a really good friend of mine who actually did, she had breast cancer. She called me and told me that they said that she has it. And, it was just like, and of course it was after my mom passed. So again, it was just like I immediately was just thrown back into this, oh my God, my friend is going to die. She caught it in the very early stages. So she was able to just have radiation. She actually had a really experimental type procedure done, and it was quite disastrous for a minute. I don't even remember the procedure. I should have probably found out from her. But anyway, she did catch it early. So she is completely healed. She is taking the I think it's called tamoxifen or tamoxifen, whatever it is. I'll have it on the screen here. She is taking that, and that's something you have to take for 5 years. It's basically chemotherapy in a pill form, and this is to fight off cancerous cells that may be floating around in you. I know there's a lot of controversy over the cancer pill, whether or not you're going to take it. It would be completely up to you. But yeah, that was my little experience with the mammogram. Have you guys had your mammogram, ladies who are over 40? I really wish they would lower that age to probably 30, because I know, like many of you guys know, many women who have died from breast cancer much younger than 40. And it's just a matter of money and what, your insurance will and will not pay for, what you can and cannot afford. So that's it. But you guys just let me know if you have had your mammograms or, whatever you're doing proactively to make sure that you are cancer free as far as your breasts are concerned. All right, you guys, so we down to the meat of the video, and I'm not gonna get all into the whole everything, but we just gonna, y'all pray for me. Dear Lord, please touch your daughter right now as she steps forth in faith, and let her get through this video without being all extra and doing too much. I really want to be informative in this video. So in Jesus' name we pray, amen. Okay, y'all with me? Okay. I know I've told you guys plenty of times, you guys, my mother was like my best friend. She was just somebody that I could always talk to, somebody that I could always count on. She was just really, she was my grounding force. She was my foundation. And when I moved to Atlanta, it was a very difficult move. My husband wanted to come here because he felt that it was a better move for my family and my kids. And even though I was kicking and screaming, I did not want to come, mainly because my parents were getting up in age and I wanted my kids to grow up around their grandparents. But all that being said, I came. My mom was like, this is your family. You need to do what you need to do. So I did move to Atlanta. Shortly after I moved to Atlanta, I had just started working. I got my job maybe after I've been here about a year. And I had just started work and had only been here maybe 6 months in the job that I have now. And I got a call from my mother. And she said, Roxanne, she was like, I'm on my way to the doctor. She said, I have this lump in my chest. You know, as soon as she said that, I got a pit. I got like a, you know how you feel like a rock has dropped down to your stomach. She said, I got this lump in my chest and I swear it feels like it popped up overnight. And she was just like, I don't really know what it is. But my mom was always my mom would go to the doctor, never had problems, always got her mammograms and things like that. She was just like, I'm just going to go find out what it is and, you know, I'll let you know. I was very worried because, you know, lumps to me just don't pop up overnight. And if it was big enough, she said it was big, she could feel it. She was like, it's just the strangest thing. I don't know where this thing came from. So I was worried, but, you know, I was trying to stay positive. And I was just like, well, call me and let me know, you know, what they say. So I wasn't expecting her to call me back but that day. But that evening, right before it was time for me to leave, she called me back. And she said, they said it's breast cancer. You guys, I can't even explain to you the breakdown that I had because I was so terrified of my mom dying. You know, we know as adults that our parents are going to die eventually, but my mom was a strong woman, generally healthy. I mean, she had back issues and things like that, but, you know, she was just always somebody. I mean, I just never thought that it was time for my mother to die. And the thought of it just scared me. So I cried. I was crying and crying and crying. And she was just like, Roxanne, it's going to be fine. The doctor said that they're going to, you know, they're going to treat it with chemotherapy and it's going to be okay. And it's going to go away. You don't have to worry. It's nothing going to happen. I'm not going to die. And I was just like, well, Mom, I think you need to get it cut off. Like, that was my first thought. Because to me, whatever is offensive on your person, you just need to get rid of it. Since then, I've heard many people say that they don't like to, a lot of people think that if you cut on somebody with cancer that it spreads, and that's if you open it up, then that's when it spreads. I don't even still believe that, but I know that many people believe that, and I think that my mom was one of those ones who believed that as well. So we kind of got into, like, all on this same conversation, kind of got into an argument. I was like, Mom, you need to get it cut off. She didn't want to do that. She told me she was going to get chemotherapy, and she was pretty adamant, and that was what she was going to do. So it was nothing I could do about that. But I was so just thrown for a loop because I just left her, you know, and my mom, who's been there for me all the time, I could not believe that I was not going to be there at this time in her life. You know, you go through all of the things. She's talking to her oncologist and her cancer doctors, whatever they all called. I don't even know what to tell you what they're called, but they set up the chemotherapy treatment, and it was very important for me to be there with her when she first started the chemotherapy. Flew down there to LA, went to Kaiser with her, sat up in the room with her, watched them put the port in. She had, the lump was right here. So they actually put the port right there so the chemotherapy could go directly to the tumor. And my mom was generally in good spirits. I think that she was really trying to stay strong for everybody else because that is just the type of woman that she is. But I know deep inside my mom was afraid. So she went to chemotherapy every day for 6 weeks, and she got this chemo pumped into her system. I left. I would go back every 4 weeks, 6 weeks, trying to get back there just to see her. When I went back the second time, she had shaved her head because she was just like, the hair was just coming out in clumps and she just could not stand to see it come out like that. So she decided to shave her head. And it just broke my heart to see her like that. But we was really amazed at how round her head was. We was really worried that she was going to have like a real misshaped flat head in the back, and my mom had like the perfect hook. So we was real happy about that. I was like, Mom, you could actually go around bald head. We went wig shopping, and she picked out a bunch of wigs. My mom was never really a wig girl because, you know, my mother would get hot, and we'll talk about these hot flashes later, but my mom would get hot and she couldn't stand to have stuff on her head. So we did buy wigs and took pictures and laughed at the wig store, my mom and my niece Brittany and myself, and we had a really nice day. But you know, at the end of the day, the lady was not going to be wearing no wigs, and she just would just walk around bald, maybe tie a scarf around her head or put a hat on. It was also very discouraging to see my mother, who had always been a pretty tall, strong, larger woman. I mean, she was maybe a 14, 16, 5'10". I could see what the chemotherapy was doing to her every time that I came back there, and it just broke my heart because I just really wanted her to get rid of that breast, and she just didn't want to do it. After she had been on the chemo, I might be getting my dates wrong, so she was diagnosed in February of 2006. She started her chemo right at the beginning of April, and it was April, May, June, July. It was maybe about August. She called me and told me that they said this chemo is not working, this lump is getting bigger, it is not getting smaller. So my mom had a very aggressive tumor, and it was not shrinking even with the chemo going directly to it. So she said, now we're going to end up taking the breast off. And I'm telling you, I was so mad. I don't know if I was mad with my mom or if I was mad with the doctors or what, but I was just like, you guys done pumped all this medication into my mother that did not do her any good. She shrunk away to almost a size 10, but not a healthy looking 10. I mean, of course she was, you know, she was always nauseous, she was weak, she didn't have any hair, and you know, I was just like, all that to just be at where I said we should be at the beginning, which was cut it off and then let's do whatever we need to do afterwards. But you know, I was still kind of relieved, like, okay, at least we're going to cut it off, and you know, then we'll go from there. So I flew back down to LA and was there for the surgery. They cut her breast off, and my mom was in really good spirits. I mean, I remember when we went to the room after she finished, she was just like very upbeat and just like, you know, ready to get started on this next chapter in her life. She was saying how she wanted to come back to visit us in Atlanta, and you know, just really looking forward to starting this next chapter. So it was like September. She had the surgery at the beginning of September. I flew back to Atlanta, and I would talk to her every day for 2 days. I mean, for 2 weeks, I would talk to her every day like normal on my lunch break. And after that first week, I could tell by that second week that something was not going right. She was in a lot of pain, and she was always tired. She couldn't eat. Very aggravated, which was something that my mom never was. So you know, I couldn't really do anything because I was here in Atlanta, but it was starting to make me feel like, oh my gosh, something is going on here, because she should be, you know, the breast is gone, and they didn't say that the recovery time was going to be like this. So I was starting to get a little worried. My mom called me one Friday when I was going home from work, and she was very upset. She was very not like herself, not positive, just saying how she's tired of this, she's tired of being sick, she's tired of being in pain, she can't eat, she doesn't want to do it anymore, and she was crying. And you guys, my mom never cried. I mean, I have been to plenty funerals and many things that would be upsetting to the general person. And my mom has always been very strong. But she was crying. She was so ready to give up. And I was so upset, because I was here and there was nothing that I could do. So shortly after that, my dad took her to the hospital and they admitted her. And she was in the hospital for a week. And I could never get in touch with her. I was calling the hospital back to back. I would call her room all day. All day. And her phone would just ring and ring. And she couldn't, nobody would answer. My brothers and my dad, no one really knew what was going on with my mom. And I couldn't get a real clear story from anybody. I think that my oldest brother, was really trying to think progressively and really trying to stay positive and saying, well, she's in the hospital and we're going to get her this extra treatment. I've been talking to some doctors at UCLA and, we're going to try this experimental, whatever this is, once she gets checked out and this, that, and the other. So in my mind, she was in there getting treated for whatever the problem was, and then that she was going to come home and then we were going to try a different route. After that week she had been in the hospital, my dad called me on Friday and he said, I'm going to go pick your mom up from the hospital. And I said, okay, good. Finally, we got some communication now. I know what's going on. And he said, yeah, I'm going to get her and bring her back home. So I'm thinking that everything is good. Maybe that was just a little mix up, a little breakdown in her, recovery. Well, on Saturday I got up, I went to go get my hair done. And I was sitting under the dryer and my dad called me and he said, Roxanne, they said that there's nothing else that they can do for your mom. I think it's time for you to come on back home. It was the worst thing anybody had ever said to me, because I just did not expect it. I'm sitting at the beauty supply. I'm sitting in Nataki's chair, waiting to get my hair done. It's a Saturday, which is normally a day that I don't even go get my hair done because there's a million people in there. So you can just imagine, it's a Saturday, it's a million people in there, and I am crying. I can't even get my words together, but then I'm also like, I can't leave this place without finishing getting my hair done. So I just was trying to keep it together long enough. Nataki was just like, you don't even have to say anything. Just come on in this chair and let me get you in and out so you can go. I just couldn't believe it. Just could not believe it. You mean to tell me that there's nothing else we can do for her? I just talked to her a week ago and she was, 2 weeks ago she was upbeat and everything, and now all of a sudden she's just not anymore. So it was just a terrible, terrible time. Look at my face, y'all. I am so sorry. I flew into LA on that following Tuesday because I just felt like I was going to get there. I went and tied up some loose ends at work and took family leave, got the paperwork and all that on Monday. Flew in there on Tuesday, and as soon as I saw her, I knew that this was it. My mom was not talking anymore. She was not responding. I wasn't sure if she could or couldn't see me and knew I was there or whatever. She looked at me sometimes like she knew who I was, but for the most part, she was just closing her eyes, sleeping, sometimes moaning because I knew she was in pain. And, when we did know she was in pain, we really gave her a lot of medication. But it was just like, God, I didn't even get to talk to her. My mom, the last conversation I had with her, she was crying and she was just over it. So I knew it was it. My people around me, my family, they did not really seem to think that this was it. But when I looked at her, I knew it was it. Called my husband and told him that, him and the kids need to prepare to come. She is not going to last. And to make a long story short, I got up at like 4:30 that next morning to give her medication because I knew I didn't want her to be in pain. And she was just gasping. She was kind of reaching in the air, looking around. My dad and I came into the room and we just stood there with her. She kept holding my dad's hand. She did not want him to walk away, but then she would reach up into the air like she would see something else and she would be reaching for it, but then she would become focused again on my dad. And after a while, you guys, she just stopped breathing. everything just got softer and softer, and then she was gone. And quite truly the worst day of my life. I was so glad that she was out of pain, didn't have to suffer. But it was October 11th. 8.5, 9 months it took for this cancer to kill my mother. I just could not believe it. And I was just so, I just couldn't believe it. Fast forward, what is this, 7, 8 years later, and it's still a hard pill to swallow. You know, I have really had a hard time trying to deal with it. And you know, this video actually is going to help me, because I just really want people to know that cancer is such a horrible, horrible disease. And it's so unfortunate that they have raised so much money for breast cancer in particular that there still is no cure. I truly believe my mom got breast cancer from taking hormone pills, estrogen, because she was having a particularly bad, what is the word? She was having a very bad menopause, having bad heat flashes, mood swings like that. So they were giving her estrogen so that she wouldn't have to experience that. And I believe that that is how she ended up getting cancer. They still won't say definitively that that's how people do get breast cancer, but I believe that is one of the reasons, and I always believe that. But yeah, you guys, just my story with my mom. I love her and miss her so much. She was such a wonderful woman. Quite honestly, the best person that I've ever had the chance of knowing and loving. I'm hoping that my daughter feels the same way about me when it's all said and done. I am so sorry for crying on this video like this. And you can see I'm at work. I gotta hurry up and get back in there. But I just wanted to tell you guys my experience with breast cancer. You guys are welcome to tell me your stories below. I always like to hear everybody's stories about their different experiences and ways that we can relate. As women, I just want to tell everybody to please take care of themselves. Make sure you get your mammograms. Make sure you are always aware of your body, all types of ways, not just breast cancer, but anything that seems off or wrong with your body. It is your responsibility and your duty to yourself and your family to stay healthy and be here for those who need you. So that's it, you guys. I'm going to get off of here before I just can't get myself together. I hope that you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Until next time, Roxstars. Bye.